Kids react
let's
to
have a nice-
vintage rotary phones that are just in living rooms that don't actually function.
That's right.
Have you seen that on YouTube? Kids react to,
Oh, to like
tape recorders or CD Walkmans, for God's sakes, at this point. It's like...
Those weren't digital. They were electronic, but they weren't digital.
That's right. They were digital in the same way that digital clocks were digital, but they weren't digital by definition of what we refer to as digital now, like the real zeros and ones. Yeah, I think it's, because we live in New York and we see everything in abundance happening in real time in front of us all the time as the world evolves and changes. You get a sense of how technology has affected and afflicted people. And, I was just telling you, for me, just seeing the evolution of texting becoming sort of the common denominator of how we communicate. I mean, for me, I know we've been doing it for a long while now, and it's 2014, but still, when I get on the train, from Queens to Manhattan, and there's that one little window of time when people have their signals, and it's like everybody whips their phones out when we go above ground or just before we're about to go under the water into the city, and everybody has some little device of some sort, and everyone's staring at it, and there's this little kind of little. You see it at night, a little glow coming from the screen. The whole thing is really creepy to me. And how come more people don't talk about how creepy that is, or how...
Or, the same phenomenon goes on the moment the film credits start in a movie theater. All the seats light up from people yanking out their phones immediately to get their messages and texts and emails.
It's weird. And that's, the one thing I noticed when I first moved to New York, or first started actually visiting New York back in the early 90s, the very first thing I noticed when I moved here was that everybody usually remained very quiet and watched the entire credit sequence. I've never, I'd never experienced that growing up, in Texas or anything, but, people, there was a sort of, I don't know if it was just a fundamental, I don't know if it was just like some sort of, every other person happened to be involved in film somehow, coincidentally, with those screenings I went to.
I think it was just milking the excitement and relishing is a better word.
The moment
of being like in a fantasy world, and the credits are kind of your being ushered back into reality, because but I don't remember that, but I do remember though having I don't remember staying for credits as even to this day, kind of like when we were out at the movie theater last night. Jacob's been wanting to see Spider-Man 2, The Amazing Spider-Man,
Spider-Man 2,
which he enjoyed. And we left, but then it was 2 hours and 20 minutes, so we had to kind of get moving too. But
how many Spider-Mans have there been? I mean, the only Spider-Man I remember that the last one I saw was with Tobey Maguire. Were there two other Spider-Mans since then?
There were three of those.
Okay,
and then Andrew, the British actor, Andrew. I can't remember his name at the moment.
Anybody.
He's a good actor. He's done quite a bit of stuff. He's now He's now Spider-Man.
He's the Amazing Spider-Man.
He's the Amazing Spider-Man, and there have been two of those now. So there's 5 been but they rebooted it. But they're still telling they're still doing the origin story kind of thing. The first big section of this film last night was going back and kind of, it's always the history is of the character is. It's always intertwined into the current narrative of the film in some level.
They have to take 5 steps back,
figuring out his
just in
dad.
case you forgot who he is and how he got his powers. We're going to reiterate it for you again.
But the story is just another way. It's just another, in a way, origin of him. And he, and like the Batman franchise, he has to figure out why he's a superhero is directly tied to a story of his parents when he was a kid. So both of those characters lost their parents. Were both Bruce Wayne and Peter Parker's parents were both killed.
That's interesting. Wow.
I know it is. Yeah.
And Superman's
one's a bat and one's a spider. Creepy things.
Oh yeah. And Superman's parents, they were alive, right? He was raised on a farm.
Yeah, but he lost his parents too because they were on planet Krypton, and that planet was blown up.
That's right.
But then but the difference is
his birth parents, not those adopted people on the farm.
Kal-El. So Jor-El,
I'm thinking of
his father,
1978, by the way,
played by Marlon Brando, was downloaded himself. I don't know. I think that what happened was in the new one, in Man of Steel, he downloaded himself, or uploaded himself, or he died. And so when Superman went to the Fortress of Solitude, he downloaded his dad, basically, who was, for the rest of the movie, kept kind of inserting himself into the storyline.
Oh, wow.
It was kind of cool.
Like downloaded him, digitized him, so he could just keep sort of like pushing the button to be like his Jiminy Cricket.
Helping his son.
Like, I'm going to give you pointers, so... Just play me whenever you feel like you need some advice.
A little bit of that, but it was more practical in the sense of like
he's always there.
They had information about his past and about what he could do and about the villains and all this. So his dad was kind of But anyway, that's a lot of superhero talk. But I'm so disappointed, as I think most critics are. But and it's not like I call myself a critic or associate myself with critics. But I think they're right about the superheroes franchise. But it is what it's like reduced to. The studio system has been reduced to these movies kind of holding that whole entire economy of that. And it's just sad that they can't. I think people that create these movies actually. I'm cynical, I guess is what I just said. But what I think right, he's wearing Jonathan Caouette, who, by the way, I've been talking to for 15 minutes, we're talking to. He is wearing a T-shirt and it says "The End" on it, and it looks like it's the Hollywood sign.
It is.
Okay,
and I've gotten some flack for that. Like, how can you be such a passive? But
put a tattoo of it on your chest and then let people really...
I didn't really think anything of it, really. I mean, sort of I did, but not... I didn't realize, like, the repercussions it would have. I just bought it at H&M, like, 2 years ago somewhere.
You needed it. A T-shirt,
I needed it, and I just thought it was cool and kind of strange.
Okay, so there wasn't a reason, other kind of
I wasn't thinking
deep-seated.
This is a statement on the would-be death of the film industry as we know it, but maybe...
Well, there was a Burt Reynolds movie called The End, with
Dom
DeLuise, and...
I almost bought a copy like an hour ago at a thrift store.
What? Is
down
that true?
The street on VHS, yeah. I don't have it, but I've always wanted to see it.
Yeah, I've seen it. I saw it when it came out. I saw it in the movie theater. Somehow or other.
I remember that. I mean, I remember that movie. But
It was Burt Reynolds had terminal cancer or a terminal illness, and it starts off with he's being told the news, and then the rest of the movie he's sort of kind of sleepwalking in a daze through the movie, going and meeting everybody. I guess sort of like with The Angriest Man in Brooklyn. I don't know if you read anything about that. The recent Robin Williams.
No,
there was a movie called. It was. I'm sorry, but it was awful. I'm sorry.
Is it a remake of The End?
No, but it has the same central idea, and I'm sure there've been others too, where the main character finds out he's going to. The main character finds out they're going to die. I'm sure this has been done many times, and I'm sure it's been done in European cinema.
George C. Scott's son did one called Dying Young.
Yeah, but Campbell Scott, by the way, played Peter Parker's dad last night in the in Spider-Man.
I'm so glad to hear he's still around. I don't know why I just randomly thought of him.
Yeah, but that was a kind of a melodrama.
Yeah,
as opposed to these other.
And The End was just a wacky comedy, like Cannonball Run.
Yeah. Well, except for a little bit more of a story-driven than gag-driven, I guess. Yeah, it was a little bit of drama in it, but it was
like
essentially
Hooper, like one of those, like
black comedy.
Okay.
No, it was definitely Burt Reynolds at the height of his. I think the height of his career, because he got that he got it that he
was a sex
he had to
symbol.
lighten up about it. Yeah, and he was was like
sex
I don't know.
Symbol.
That's true. I think they just.
Such a 70s, those words together are such a 70s term, sex symbol.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
He was definitely a sex symbol, Burt Reynolds, but he kind of understood that it was kind of a joke, his persona. So I liked him from then on. And I think a number of people did that too. I mean, when they finally did that and lightened up about it and didn't take themselves so seriously, that was good.
Yeah, it's always
because they weren't making great movies. So it's not, if they were making great movies, they could have kind of stayed somewhat self-serious. I mean, it wouldn't make them any more likable, but at least they'd be making good movies, you know. But
Yeah.
Burt Reynolds was making kind of bad movies a lot.
Oh,
You
yeah.
mentioned
Yeah. And no, it's good. It's refreshing when somebody in that position is self-aware and, you know.
You want some stuff? Look at them.
I wish I had like a...
Did you bring your Legos? Game. You don't want to play them? Okay.
I have nothing kiddish in here anymore, and I wish I did.
How old is your son, Jonathan?
He's 18, and
he
he
is?
just graduated high school. He started school late and moved. He had been living here with David and I for a while. I mean, for probably 7 years, something like that. Almost 8 years. And I think his form of rebellion was to just go back to Texas and maybe want to experience rebellion's overstating it. He wanted a version of the latter part of his formative years to be sort of suburbanish, because I think, you know, it was a good opportunity for him to get a car and to get driving lessons and to sort of drive around and kind of live a version of that for a little while, which I think it's cool. I think it's good to sort of, you know, be in one kind of atmosphere and then go to another atmosphere and, you know, just getting the best of both worlds. But I think he's actually going to come back here. He's going to do like 1 year of college there, and then I think he's going to want to come back here. We keep talking about it every other day.
Well, it's amazing you have I mean, I don't know the deeper, longer version of this, because it's not my business. But but I think you speak about it in a very evolved way without sounding rejected. And Jacob, I definitely want him to move in with me at some point.
Sure.
I would love to have that. Like, his mother is working right now upstate, so we've been together.
Oh, okay.
Although he has a little sister who's also been with us until this weekend. Great. Who's now with her dad, and but their school's going to end on Thursday, and then we're gonna start like running around.
Great.
But I don't want to separate him and his sibling, so I'm sort of in this weird place. But when he's 15 or so, and they're not going to be hanging out like that by then anyway, so not like that.
That's true.
And he can see her anytime.
It's always a balance, you know, especially if you've had like separation issues or whatever with kids. But but you can always find the right feng shui at some given point, and it ultimately works out, and for the better, I think. No matter what, as long as you find the balance. Yeah.
I'm sorry, because right before I asked him if he wanted something to do, you were talking about. I interrupted you, basically, and I apologize.
I don't know what I was.
I know I interrupted.
About. No,
well, it was after the whole, I think, Burt Reynolds.
Oh, the Burt
persona story. Well, we can move on. Cause, I just hope I didn't interrupt something that was.
I'm still trying to. Yeah, I don't know. Just kind of be okay with the more we move through time, you know, the more I just feel displaced in this time. Like I feel it's so. Who did everything? Who was sort of, what generation is ultimately responsible for fundamentally changing the way we live and interact with each other? Is it Gen X? Like, did we do this? Or, I mean, I know it's been an evolution of whatever, but
it's true, but it doesn't feel that way because technology became so ubiquitous so fast. Because when it was happening slowly, we were enjoying the convenience of not having to run a package or fax or like once email came, we're slow and gradual. Then it became part of corporate America. Said, okay, we can incorporate email now, and that actually helps us because we now have a record of everything.
Yeah,
you know, we
paper
don't have
trail.
to, and we save a lot of paper, and there was all these kind of positive things, and then it started to affect businesses and bookstores and records. You know, it's like, so it started to, we saw that it could actually just, it happened so quickly that entire industries didn't really have the incentive or the know-how to change direction. That's one whole category of the conversation.
The foresight.
And that really affects us. There's one conversation about how it affects us there. But I think the biggest change came, and it came so quick, was social media. So now
that's been the biggest dumb downer, I think, is social media.
I'm guilty, of course, because I rely on it so much. And then within that is texting, as you said, because while it has its place for sure, as does just having a cell phone. Just always being able to make calls, I guess, anywhere, anytime, except for those few minutes where you're in between train stations, God forbid. But, or God forbid you're in a building and inside a room and they don't have your signal. Those moments now are where we feel panicky on some level.
I know, because we've,
but
relied on it.
But we don't. But I heard several people recently talk very eloquently about how we don't feel comfortable confronting anybody for good or bad reasons.
Nobody ever has, but especially now,
but
they really have this safety net of
respectful.
not. Yeah, it's
respectful to say to somebody something, but I do think texting is a problem, and I just don't know who I can call anymore. Like sometimes I just feel like, I just need to start calling everybody I know because I haven't talked to anybody, and I haven't. It's like we're texting even, but I don't. Like Jacob's mother calls. It's too much texting. We need to kind of just get to the point and write. I mean, figure it out our conversation. So it's faster.
Sure.
But it's also
you don't have to expend as many emotional, emotions on texting either, which is I think a real convenience factor for most people. But the evolution of this is, I think just it's not good for people cognitively to be doing this because I really see a world one day that becomes kind of like the Eloi in the Time Machine, that H.G. Wells' original 1961 Time Machine, where there's people just won't know how to communicate in sort of a real way. I often, we do this thing now where we text and we get like, when can I call you? Or let's schedule a time to do a call. Right. Or can I call you now? It's like there's this weird little prefix to all that now that never used to exist. And people used to just call each other on the phone, and now I'm learning, and I'm experiencing this myself a little bit, that because we're texting so much and we're communicating like this so much, it does seem, I mean, for me, I've experienced this, and I know a lot of other people have too, it seems to take a little bit of psyching yourself up psychologically on some level to get on the phone to talk with somebody. Like, have I had enough coffee? Is my mood sort of like, there's this whole thing to it now that just never used to be anything anymore before. And that's very strange to me too. But the Gen Xers, the baby boom, we could sit here and just have these conversations every other day, which I do for the most part, but I guess there's really nothing we can do about it, is there?
No, I don't think really there is anything. It's just now so intrinsic to our culture and our way of moment to moment life. But I do think there might be a backlash on some level, and because of what I do, I have this thing I have to always promote and let people, and I'm kind of a marketing person built into what I do. Right. So I do rely on the social media a ton, and I'm caught up in it a lot, and I'm sent out like a newsletter and texting, and I have all these different things I'm doing to Facebook and Twitter and all that. And at the same time, I'm like, I want this summer to go away with Jacob or just on my own at times, and I really do need to figure out how to do it so I can go off the grid. I have not done it in ages, and I'm like,
and still exist, or still, it seems like when we don't communicate like this, like, it's very out of sight, out of mind, and it's this sort of, it's like quantum. It's like if you don't reach out, or if nobody can get to you, you kind of go away, and you kind of die in a sense. It's very strange.
Yeah,
I've noticed. Maybe I'm just overthinking it, but you know what? It's like nobody can get a hold of you unless you're on Facebook.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't know.
I don't
know.
Might be at some point. I hope that I'm just. This is what I mean. I don't know if I want this public, but at some point, I just want to have enough of a reliable living off of what I do, where I I can go dark, and it's not like a threat to my wholly,
your whole being or
my
your
whole being and my
livelihood,
my livelihood
and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course.
So, and then I really do believe. I will not care. It can be fun again. It can be.
I'm still having the hope that like everything that we do now and every way that we do it is still in some kind of like extended phase of being some sort of a novelty, and that will just move past this, and it won't become the way we live our lives forever. I just can't imagine. I just can't.
No, this is it. This is the way we're going to be.
I have to be enslaved to like sitting in front of this screen for like 6 hours a day sometimes. Just
right. Yeah. But yeah, it's. I guess you maybe you and I are pretty much alike in that regard because. I do abuse it, as I said. I take complete ownership of the fact that I am as much of a slave to social media and texting and the whole 9 yards. But I long for that time where, the phone rang until somebody picked it up. And that I do recall very clearly a time before even answering machines. And when we got an answering machine, it was like this huge thing. It was like, I'm belaboring. We're going on a long time about this subject, but that was also a big change in the way people communicated because then people did expect you. Now you can no longer say you didn't get the call.
You missed the call.
And even though the turnaround time might not have been like it is now, where somebody doesn't text you back immediately, they're offended. But back then there was that now, but it might have been okay. It's been a day. You ostensibly go home and sleep at night, and you know that there's a message on your machine. And why didn't you call me back?
And answering machines before you could check them from a payphone, like when you actually had to physically go back home and check.
Oh, well, that's all.
That first part.
That's right. I forgot the first generation. Yeah, I don't think you could call into your phones. That was an enormous thing when you could call in remotely for your. Yeah. And before that, the only other option you had was. While
you were out slips.
No, I was going to say, it's so cute. I was going to say those
which
pink,
I wrote my
pads.
first film on, by the way, was a bunch of while you
I bet.
were out
That's
slips.
called being bored at your job too. But no, there was the answering services that mostly were used by professionals like doctors. And they would have a service, and when you called in, the call is forwarded to the service. They pick up the line and act as a sort of reception.
Well, that still happens with doctors who are people like that. If you're trying to make an appointment with somebody,
okay, at
least the people I call.
Well, those might be receptionists though, or assistants or something. But I'm talking about where a doctor just even at home would have a service. And anybody could use the service, but it seemed to be primarily used by doctors and other kinds of professionals. Anyway. There we are. That's it, folks.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's a podcast because it's it's like pushing back against technology. How about just trying to calibrate culturally so we are not slaves to? Because remember, the bill of goods was technology is going to make life simpler for you. It's going to give you more time. Right, it's going to free you up, and that was a lie because we're always behind, and we have no time anymore. So
none
somehow. So it's a joke. So
none.
Get it straight. Let's. But having said that, you can get all my back podcasts and listen to them right now on iTunes. So and you can subscribe to Filmwax Radio.
Are you doing?
Oh,
that?
sure.
That's great.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
I need to get with I need to get savvy with making things and putting them out online so that people have to pay for it.
Oh, I see.
So I can.
You can do that though.
Can I?
Well, yeah. I had on about 2 months ago a guy named Jamie Wilkinson, who has a company called VHX, and what they do is you basically sign up with them as a filmmaker, and if you go to jonathancaouette.com or Tarnation or Away Renee, whatever,
whatever it is,
you go to the website. And you have right on your homepage a trailer, right?
Okay.
And when somebody clicks, at the end of the trailer, it says buy movie. And they can literally just buy it right then and there and watch it right on your homepage. And so the company's called VHX. You get, I forget the deal, but it's a significant percentage of the money goes to the filmmaker. So, and they can pay through, they put in a credit card and email, and that's all.
Boom. Oh,
and they
amazing.
can get your movie, and it plays right on your home site. And I think it's similar to Vimeo. Vimeo On Demand does that. They, except that I guess that's on Vimeo. But no, they're the player, but it goes on your website.
They're going to be the new.
This is it. And isn't that what you're talking about? And when
well,
you have
I was even just talking about like creating your own website and just putting your own, like Larry Clark made a movie not too long ago called Martha Girl, put it on his personal website.
Yeah.
And everybody had to,
Yeah, well, that's what I'm talking about this, but probably is VHX built the infrastructure for it, or a company like that. So also, Louis C.K. did that. He put his concert film, the last one, on his website. Oh. Had no He did not use a distributor. He just self-distributed.
Right.
And he made all the money. And but he has a following. See, that's the thing.
Right.
If you are somebody who has a following, this is perfect for you, because if you have like 500,000 people following you, you don't need a distributor to put out some sort of DVD for you when you can just do it yourself. I mean, you can play the movie right there, and the file becomes basically, what is it, DRM free. So in other words, once somebody buys it, they can play it on any device, however they choose to, and whether it's their.
But then how do you, but then going back to just the implosion of everything, how do you prevent, let's say if like 5 people download your movie, but one of them wants to, for whatever reason, be one of these people to upload it for free onto YouTube in 4 parts, then the momentum gets lost.
I don't know the answer to that, but
there's one simple idea that I've thought of that I think can save the music industry and the film industry, and I'm sure other people have thought about this, and there's got to be a way to do it. There's just got to be a way to do it. But to prevent people from illegally downloading things, or just uploading films that should be be making money to the filmmaker or whoever. And I think it's just all about encryption, like finding the right code that can't be cracked, where you can basically, once you download it, that's it. And there's no way to sort of reduplicate it or, turn it into another format that can be re-uploaded somewhere for free.
I'm going to ask the guys at VHX, because I'm kind of curious about. I forgot to ask about that aspect to it. What's to stop somebody from just uploading it? But I'll find out, because I'm sure they've taken that into account, no doubt.
There's got to be. I mean, you would think in this day and age, with just the technology of everything, there's got to be some code that can be written over it, so that it's only available to you if it's been paid for, and it becomes encrypted to such an extent that you can't re-upload it anywhere.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe that'll happen soon, because that's definitely something that could.
Yeah, and I think you're right though.
People paid again,
But yeah, and if you do have a big enough, again, kind of rubbing against what we were talking about before, but if you do have this big network online, you can you might be able to do quite well with something like that. It works for people that have following. It seems to be when you're.
I've never done a Kickstarter campaign or an Indiegogo or any of that yet, and I'm wondering if it might behoove me to do it for the next film I'm working on, which is going to be a narrative film that I'm writing for the first time. Just thinking about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I suppose it definitely seems like when you have other options available to you, you go to there, because in one level you also want to use this Kickstarter opportunity very cautiously, and because it's harder to dip back in the same well, once you've gone there, and it is a full-time gig as well, so you do have to work on it, and to make it succeed, you are basically having to contact everyone personally, individually, and maybe the phone call, without going on the phone, of course. That might be confrontational in that case, but right. the other aspect to the advantage to a successful campaign, not only obviously making the your goal of money wise, but also you've built this community of people. I talk about this a lot. This comes up a lot on this show, obviously, because I talk to many filmmakers, but that you're building a community. So when the movie is in that next stage and you're actually done and you're getting it out there, you have all these. You've got this whole community there that knows about the film and is going to help you get the word out, acting as your ambassadors on some level.
Sure.
But they're there, and you can build that community. It's an opportunity to kind of do that. Background music by Jacob Shartop.
Is it reverbing? Is it sort of like?
No, it sounds. I was going to stop. I was going to ask him to stop it, but it sounds kind of nice. I don't know what it's going to be like.
Serenading our conversation.
It's probably going to be fairly faint, I'm going to guess. I don't know.
So what do you have going on the 16th at Nighthawk Cinema in Williamsburg?
Oh, right. I could mention that. I don't know if the show will be up in time. But it's... I have mentioned it on here, though. It's basically about 2 months ago and change, I decided I was going to do my first... Or I had decided before that I was going to do my first live podcast. So basically, I would find a venue, record a conversation with a few different people that would, and instead of it being, just only recorded, we have an audience, and we can actually involve the audience. So we did it right before Tribeca and after Sundance, after South by, but before, like in that window. And I had on 2 success stories from Sundance. One was Gillian Armstrong, who directed this new movie called The Obvious Child, which just came out, which is in theaters right now. It's the abortion comedy with Jenny Slate, who's, I guess, was on Saturday Night Live and said shit on the first episode. And
I think she said fuck.
No, she said shit.
Somebody said fuck.
Charlie Rocket.
Charles Rocket, and then he was one of my. I loved that 1980 cast that all got fired. They're my favorite.
They lasted one season, right?
Yeah, it was the Ebersol. Dick Ebersol was Charles Rocket. Rocket Report.
Well, Jenny was the star of this. She plays stand-up anyway, but the filmmaker is Gillian Armstrong, and then I also had on Desiree Akavan, who is a filmmaker made of a comedy called Appropriate Behavior, which also kind of got really good buzz at Sundance. And she's part of also the Brooklyn Filmmakers Collective. So she was actually supposed to come on earlier and couldn't because she was so busy with her new film. That she's subsequently gotten cast in the next season of Girls, that HBO show.
Oh, yeah.
Lena Dunham's show.
Right.
So this was like literally a week or two before that announcement came out. And she was on, then Orner was on the panel. And I know you know Orner. So.
Oh, yeah, he's wonderful.
So, and he was about to come out with Summer Blood at Tribeca, so he was also, leading up. This was just days before that. So the timing was really... So it's, and then Dan Nuxel of Rooftop Films, because this was also ended up becoming a vehicle to announce their season. They were...
Oh, good.
So, they were going to come on and talk about...
I love those guys.
Yeah.
They can do no wrong, those Rooftop guys.
Well, this show's on their site. That's where it is. It's on their website. Well, this wasn't the case last time when you and I sat down. We sat down last time, I think, to talk about. We were about to do we were going into doing the Away Renee DVD release party.
That's right. Oh,
I think that's when.
How long ago was that?
Well, when did it come out? It was last summer, I think.
I don't remember.
Last summer. It was last summer. It was only a year ago.
Wait
a minute. So I was already on the Rooftop site, I think.
Okay.
It does seem longer. It wasn't 2 summers ago. No. Okay. 2 summers ago, it was when it was probably BAM Cinema Fest, is my guess.
Oh, yeah.
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
But it might have been 3 summers ago.
Because a lot was going on. I had a leg injury during that time.
Oh, right.
All kinds of things.
Yes.
But that's right, yeah. Well, that's a good sign. A good sign that I'm thinking it happened a long time ago, longer than it was, because that just means that time is slowing down again somehow for me.
Oh, good.
Which is good.
Anyway, that's what the live podcast. So we had we did it at Videology, which is in I know you know that place actually, right?
I love Videology.
I don't know if we were there together at some point. We were. I think it was a mutual friend had some sort of screening thing, and we just sort of saw each other for like a minute.
Oh yeah, right. Oh, and I was also thinking of the now unfortunately defunct Rerun Theater.
Right.
That's where I first met you. Has anything transpired from that?
Yeah, the guy was arrested. Jason
Oh.
Well, it's not like it's not common. Jason Stevens, who was the owner of Rebar.
Okay.
Rerun was the theater in the back room of the restaurant, and I know that Factory 25 owner Matt Grady was doing some screenings there toward the end. I don't really know much more, so I guess that came to a quick halt, as did the all these wedding couples that lost their their down payments.
I remember like the day that people were talking about that was really terrible. Well, I don't know what's going to happen with the space, but maybe somebody should try to cash in and preserve the theater at least. And
I don't think so.
Maybe not.
I think that theater is that's a done deal. That's over. It's unfortunate because it's one less of the only one or two theaters that where you didn't have to spend money to four-wall your movie.
Yeah, right.
If you didn't have distribution now, or you could it's great just to have a screening event there too. You had that option.
It was a good space while it lasted. Yeah. That's Richard Pryor, by the way, Jacob. What movie is that? Oh, The Toy. Not one of the better ones. Some Kind of Hero is a really good one. That? Yeah, Jackie Gleason and
The Toy. Yeah.
That kid. I don't remember.
Osmond.
I saw it when I was a kid.
That was Haley. I was thinking.
It's actually my son's when he was about his age.
But I do remember Some Kind of Hero very vividly because I also saw. I was at the premiere screening in New York when that came out. I was with my dad. I was a kid, but Margot Kidder I think is in that one. And
no, that's Some Kind of Hero. Oh yeah,
is it Some Kind of Hero?
Some Kind of Hero.
He's a Vietnam vet.
Yeah, I loved that film.
Yeah,
and then he's gone away, and then I guess his Margot Kidder seduces him, and
she's a hooker.
Yeah, she's a hooker, and I love Margot Kidder. By the way,
well, who doesn't?
I adore her. I'd love to see her.
The original Lois Lane.
Yep, and the original sister from
Brian
Sisters. Yeah, that was a really freaky film.
Oh, it totally was.
Kind of recently discovered in the past 6-7 years, but
yeah. That I've
become a new favorite.
Oh no, I've been very. When I had Brian De Palma on the show, a long time ago, many years. Yeah, I didn't bring it up though. Not sister. I need to have him back on.
That's great.
But do you know who I'm getting on? Likely, it's going to be via Skype. But if I were to say one of the, I'm sure you can get this. He's one of the only living directors you might call maestro, European director. He's maybe the only living He's from the same sort of generation, maybe a little younger actually, but then all the masters from 60s and 70s.
Oh God, who's alive? Like an older person?
Yeah. But he has a new movie.
Who's alive? Oh no,
not this guy, but not
no,
Hodorowski.
Not that guy. I was going to say Hodorowski, but
no. Actually, I had the opportunity though, and I think I kind of remember. I think I was given the opportunity, and I kind of squandered it. To maybe talk to Hodorowski, but which is kind of shameful.
Who's the other?
I won't keep you hanging on. It's Bertolucci.
That would be nice.
Skyping with Bertolucci.
Bertolucci. Is he a non-flyer? Well, not that he's going to fly in to do a podcast, but is he like Lars von? Like he won't. Well, you're just
he's in Italy, so he's not coming here. He's
not coming here anytime soon. He's not well.
I don't think he's well. I think he's physically unwell.
I've heard that. Yeah, actually,
I don't know that he's mentally might be fine. I'm sure he is, but he's physically
he's not doing so well.
There was a documentary made by James Toback.
Yeah, I saw it, and I saw him in the hotel room. Yeah, that was a good film. Actually, I love James Toback.
Yeah, I have his phone number.
James Toback's?
Yeah, that's right. It's in here.
Great.
The reason is, I have called him, but he hasn't returned my calls yet. But I was told that I could have his number by a mutual person because he would consider coming on my podcast. So I left a message, but it was right as that was coming out, and
I saw a preview screening of it, or it was a special screening of it.
Yeah, they did something over here, down the block here at the Museum of the Moving Image.
Oh, okay.
and him and Alec Baldwin.
Oh, right.
And then Alec Baldwin started beating up people in the audience, and so they had to stop.
Really? Okay.
No,
setting off fireworks?
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. He's always
Alec Baldwin.
Poor Alec Baldwin.
I think, you can't ever really believe everything that's always necessarily aggrandized in the media, but maybe he just needs a vacation. Maybe he just needs to. He wants to get out of New York. I don't know.
Right
if
now
he's
out
He's just
I don't
had
know
it.
New York is. It's the only person who sort of seems down on New York and up for L.A. It's usually the other way around, where people have to move back to New York to get back to reality. Get the reality check.
Back to this reality.
Yeah, well, our version. But because you can just you can't really escape too far in New York City. You can go into your big apartment at the top of a beautiful building in a fairly exclusive neighborhood, but you can only walk like 3 or 4 blocks until you're back in the city with just regular folks. Mm-hmm. Whereas in Beverly Hills or Malibu,
you can get lost.
Yeah. You can exist. For probably.
I've never lived. I've visited California. I've visited northern, southern California multitudes of times. Never lived there, and I was telling somebody. Well, I've been kind of talking about this. This has been kind of my MO for a while, but particularly with this last winter, which just really took the cake for me. I'm from Texas originally, and the winters here were novelties originally for me, and then just over the course of time, I just 17 winters later now, I've realized that I'm just not and I hate to admit it, because does that deflate me as a New Yorker now?
That you're
that I'm just
you
not
haven't admitted it yet, but you're saying you've gotten sick and tired of the winters.
No,
we're all sick of it.
I'm sick of it. And
just some of us have been born into it and just kind of don't
adjust.
Really, or haven't gotten spoiled by having had the experience of the 17 years before that of being. I'm being generous with those numbers. Wow.
Thank you. No,
but but of being in Texas, I'm sick and tired of the winters. I would do anything to stop the freaking winters. Excuse me, Jacob. But put $1 in the kitty.
I'm thinking seriously, I'd like to take 4 or 5 months out of the year, just as soon as either when Halloween is over or when Christmas arrives and goes. Taking a little bit of time going to Austin or maybe Los Angeles was the other option.
So a film town, but
a film place.
Yeah.
That where you just don't have to feel like your whole body and spirit is shutting down for winter.
Right. And then you have to hibernate.
And you hibernate. And
physically. Because it's okay to hibernate digitally,
just,
as we described.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah.
This is so tittillating, this beautiful weather we're having. It's I don't want it to stop.
No, you're right. I love this. I don't get tired of it. I'm never ready for the winter. Yeah, there are a lot of people who are. But
some people love it. They actually love the, I like the idea of the change of seasons, but sometimes not.
But I like the idea of them changing into warm weather as
well. More than anything.
Let's talk about coming up from the third week of June, right? You're doing a kind of a series of your own in Williamsburg at the Wythe Hotel screening room, which for those who have not been there is a really lovely room.
It is. The genesis of that happened, I guess, I don't know, whenever that experimental program was, that one-off thing that I had done.
Shorts night.
Yeah, the Shorts night. Friend of mine named John Leone, who I've known for a long time now, probably, 9 years or something. He was helping us out, I think, as an assistant editor at the time on a film that I was making called All Tomorrow's Parties, which was this sort of concert film that was filmed at that festival in England mostly. Mm-hmm. And we've been keeping in touch ever since, and he has this amazing, sweet wife who's just had a baby. Her name is Claudine, and she's the events coordinator there. And
I met her.
Yeah, you met her. She's really, really wonderful. Yeah. And he hooked me up with her, and I think just via email. And she reached out to me a little while ago to do this one-off thing that we ended up doing, which was a night of experimental films that I programmed and curated just from friends. And
but it was also like this curated audience. It was like everybody was there that I just like, oh my gosh, there's Matt Porterfield, there's Josephine Decker, look, there's Jorge and Jason and look over there. And I'm sure Owner would have been there if not for the fact that he was like
promoting
just
or filming.
Yeah, no, I think he was like probably trying to finish up Under the Gun, trying to finish up Summer of Blood. because he's such a total, like, he would totally be there at that kind of thing.
Oh,
otherwise.
totally.
But it was like almost everybody else.
It was very friendly, and I kind of, we weren't charging tickets. It really just became like a prototype for me and for them. Here's what I can do, and not only that, I wanted to have fun and just show films that were, primarily. Some of them were new films, but most of them were primarily, like everything else, just residing online.
Yeah.
And the Wythe has this it's a wonderful space. It's a very petite theater, and it kind of feels like a speakeasy sort of thing. It's literally under the hotel,
under the bar, which is a nice change of pace.
Yeah,
the theater's hidden behind the bar as opposed to the other way.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, how many does it seat?
I think, in reality, 60, 70, but I think on a good day, if everybody's really nice to each other, you can probably squeeze 100 people in there. Mm-hmm. I didn't say that, but I don't want to
don't worry about it.
Mess with their codes and everything. Right. But we had a really good turnout, and it was very friendly, and it just went on all night. And it's it's like what I do here, but just a bigger, more opulent version. Because
right.
I
what
love
was
having...
that? What did you end up showing? Like last week, you invited me over to.
Oh yeah,
what was it?
It was Out of the Blue, the Dennis Hopper film.
Oh yeah,
the one from 1982,
sure.
which is
yeah.
I'm embarrassed to say this, but it's
He's a drug addict or something. What is he? No.
He's an ex-con.
Okay, right.
Who accidentally kills a bunch of children on a school bus. It's at the very beginning. You didn't hear that.
Sorry,
Jacob.
it's a dark story. It's a
dark
pretend story, though.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
But it's a heavy film, and it's.
We can talk about the Sweet Hereafter instead.
Oh yeah, and it's a film, and I'm really embarrassed to be saying this because I've been hearing about the film since I was probably about 16 years old. A lot of people have been recommending it, and have you seen this? Based on your sensibility of movies that you like, I think you'll like this. And, everybody was always trying to push this film on me. I only heard the name Out of the Blue, and for some reason the title just never grabbed me and I didn't even know Dennis Hopper had directed it. I knew really nothing about it. And my roommate, who's a filmmaker, his name is John Zhao,
Go into the kitchen.
Moved in here not too long ago, and he was another person that was saying you've got to see Out of the Blue.
It's come up on this podcast before, that movie.
Has it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing. I'd love to show it to you one day if
I would
you want to see it big and loud here in my tiny living room.
Thank you. You don't mind seeing through it again?
I can see it. I saw it at the BAM was doing a punk rock girls series.
Oh yeah. It was in there?
Yeah, it was in there, and I wanted to wait to see it, big on. I think it was on 30. Yeah, it was on 35 millimeter, and I was blown away. I mean, I was blown to cinematic smithereens.
Really?
Yeah, and I wish more movies could be as good as that movie was for today. And it's an amazing film because it's a film. Yeah, I think it was made in 82, 81. Ages beautifully, ages just gorgeously. There's really, I mean, there's some moments that, maybe a few editing choices or a few moments of some acting that might, not seem so great, but it's a powerful movie, and it's been very inspiring. Since I saw it at BAM, I quickly got the best version that I could find on DVD. I think Anchor Bay put out a version of it. That I got, and I've watched it 3 times in the past month. Like it's one of those where it's going on my cray DVD shelf there. But I just fell in love with it, and found out incidentally after all of that, subsequently all these like anecdotes about there's a whole backstory to like how the film got made, and it's it seems to have a cult following, but it's I feel like I just sort of missed out. Now just discovering it at 41 years old.
Wow.
It just seems like
but isn't that also nice? Because it's good to know that you can still find the gems. And I think we know that we probably share this period between, let's say, 68 and 80, beginning of the 80s, where, some of the best American films, or, well, actually, not truthfully, globally, I mean, almost everywhere, there was this incredible period of time.
Yeah.
I mean, European films too in the 60s, late 60s,
60s and 70s, early
60s,
80s.
Yeah.
Bad Timing is another good one too.
Right.
I don't know if
I
you've
love
seen
that.
that one.
Oh no,
that's
I do.
a wonderful, and
that's
nobody had any form then. There was no formulations to things.
Who is it? Is it that was what's his name? The British filmmaker, right?
Oh, performance. Nicholas Roeg.
Nick
Yeah,
Roeg.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's
Nicky Roeg.
Nicky Roeg.
Nicky.
He's an unusual chap. That guy. No, but his films,
I met him once.
Really?
Actually, in London.
Is he's still alive, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta find him. Like that, he would be an amazing guest. There's that movie which was with, if I'm not mistaken, Art Garfunkel.
Yeah.
Bad Timing. We're talking about, right? And
what's her name? I cannot.
What, his wife? Teresa Russell? Yeah.
She's an amazing actress. Hold on.
Are you talking about? No, it's Teresa Russell. But I'm merging it with.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I'm merging it with.
Teresa Russell.
Yeah. It's fun just talking about movies. There was Bad Timing, but his co-star in that is Art Garfunkel's.
Teresa Russell.
Yeah. But who's the other actor in that? No, it was kind of between them, and what a painful really. The other one I love from that time is another one of my favorite movies. Well, I was thinking I got Carnal Knowledge merged into there for a second. That's why I said. Right. That's why I said, which is Mike Nichols. But I said, but that
Looking for Mr. Goodbar.
I have not. I don't think I've ever seen it. It's hard to get.
It's hard to get. I have it on VHS.
Okay, that's another one I'd like to see.
Which I would love to
Richard
digitize.
Gere.
Yeah.
And the lovely late, what's her name? The actress who's in Looking for Mr. Goodbar, isn't it?
Oh, Diane Keaton.
Oh, right, it's Diane Keaton. I'm sorry, I said late. I scared you for a second.
Oh,
no, I was thinking. Then can I merge that again with Jill Clayburgh?
Jill Clayburgh.
For some reason, yeah. And then I started merging.
Those two were the same person, pretty much.
They kind of had the same roles.
I get mixed
but Diane
up.
Keaton just did a little bit better, and had a couple more successful movies, which catapulted her, and then lived.
And lived, yeah.
And now does
Jill, I totally forgot Jill Clayburgh passed away.
Yeah, it's sad.
Oh.
And you would see her in New York because she lived in New York.
Did she? She was amazing. Where are what are the Jill Clayburghs of today, or the Sissy Spaceks, or anybody that's sort of like that?
I met also Sissy Spacek a few years ago at a press thing, and she was. Listen, I was sitting at a table, and Bill Murray, Sissy Spacek, and Robert Duvall come in. I meet them all, but. Jill, afterwards, I'm leaving this hotel, and Susan, I run into Sissy Spacek because when Robert Duvall came in, everybody just kind of forgot about everybody and just went over to him and started. I left, and I can't do that because I would be embarrassed. But I don't blame anybody else because if they're not embarrassed, and you meet somebody you love like that, I understand it. It does happen to me, but. Like with William Friedkin, but I get nervous and I can't even approach people.
I get star fuzzy too with a certain sort of generation of actors, just because they're the people that you were 5 years old,
right? Yeah,
and 8 years old looking at Once Upon a Time. So I think anybody sort of, I don't know anybody really now or anybody sort of.
No, I'm that way with that generation.
I guess a certain age. It's like I don't even know who anybody is anymore, to be honest, which I think is good, because I don't watch television, which I know is where it's kind of a good place for some indie filmmakers to go
and to make money
and to make money and to do some homework also, because a lot of TV shows now are kind of it is sort of the new home for indie cinema. In some ways.
And also,
it's a place
it's also in a place where you can actually experiment with different formats now.
Exactly.
Because you are locked in, especially if you're an indie-spirited filmmaker and you're making 88-minute films. But I want to tell a story that is 3-4, takes 3-4 hours. Well, we could do this serially now. So it is a great medium for that, because you don't have that option in the movies, basically.
Good way to stretch out some ideas and then do things in kind of a rough and tumble, more edgier than it's ever been. I mean, that's for sure, which is always alluring and great.
But you don't watch it, and you don't watch. So you don't.
I don't watch it, and it's not that I won't. I'm refusing to watch it, but I think I'm actually afraid to invest time in something,
another thing,
because it would just become sort of another distraction. But at the same time, it's a paradox, because I'm sort of missing out on possibly looking and exploring sort of new ways that people are telling stories, that are, do you know what I mean? But at the same time, I can't. So I'm not able to sort of, be inspired by, which I'm, sure there's some very inspiring shows that are on. So like any of the work I'm cultivating is going to be completely unbiased and completely uninspired.
Oh, I see what you mean. Right, right.
Very,
you can only blame or credit your imagination.
Exactly. Exactly.
But so, yeah, and it's all so you are actually being in the creative moment as opposed to the rest. But just to finish, I want to say, so you don't know, you're more enamored. I'm the same way. The other day, I was at a screening of a film, and I had already had the people on. I talked to the people on this podcast, and then I just said, you know what? I know they're coming into New York to do because that's their opening night theatrical, and I don't need to go because I'm not going to watch the movie. But let me just see if they're going to be in town, because I knew I was going to be nearby and I could say hello. And then I said I saw that Dick Caouette was doing the Q&A. And
what? Really?
Yeah. So I went.
When was this?
Friday.
This was Friday.
This past Friday.
Okay.
If you go to go to my Facebook page, and I'm kissing Dick Caouette because I was afraid to meet the guy, because I'm just like, what am I going to say? That's not going to it's not going to turn out well. My expectations are that he is going to think I'm a great person, and that he's going to understand that I grew up watching him, and that he's done some of the most amazing interviews. And that he's this very special individual. And if I go there and I just say, "Oh, you're," and he's going to see this idiot. I'm not saying he didn't, but
I've been watching you since I was one.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I was one when that probably.
Yeah.
I mean, I was one.
You were one when his show went off the air. Yeah. Right.
No. I mean, but I did grow up watching him, and I watched a lot of these talk shows. And when you would come home, there would be Merv Griffin or Mike Douglas.
Donahue.
There was that was even a little later in my scope. But yeah, but that's a different type of talk show. And I think Donahue did really well. I have met and seen him, but I've never had this reaction.
I met him with Marlo Thomas at a party once.
Yeah, they're cool. Probably they're just folksy kind of people.
Yeah.
Dick Caouette also, though, he was
a hip, like a very hip guy, sort of like having to just by the guests he had, and like the thing, he was very cool.
Well, he could have on one panel, he would have like Lillian Hellman and Groucho and
Janis Joplin,
and Salvador Dali and Janis Joplin on the same show, and they would be hitting on each other, like and Dick Caouette would just keep cool.
Yeah,
he would be, and he would know both of their works.
He did a great.
So he was like that kind of an erudite yet very folksy guy. You know, he walked that line really well. Like he didn't alienate people. I don't think. I mean,
there never seemed to be any judgment or any, from the other guests sometimes,
Right.
But
when
it was like,
Truman Capote and
Patty Smith was on,
and
like somebody else would be sort of being snide with Patty, or some conservative uptight person.
Right.
But he was always
William Buckley.
Yeah.
Was on with Patty Smith or something. That'd be pretty awesome. But
I want the Dick Caouette definitive box set. I think
there is. Shout Factory has.
Oh, I was going to say Shout Factory.
Oh no, when I was working at Sony, they were releasing them, so I got
the best.
2 or 3 of them. One was like the rock one, and then there was one just devoted to John Lennon. And
I remember that one also. Shout Factory is like the bee's knees. They're the ones that put out the entire Mary Hartman series. Like everybody thought that was going to be impossible.
What a cast, right?
Oh yeah.
But but that was when you did watch TV. So
that was the last TV show.
There's another one that would be great to talk to, Louise Lasser, right? Because she's here. I understand. She was just Girls. So she still works.
Yeah. I'm an ginormous Louise Lasser fan. I mean, that show for me, even as a kid, like watching it in syndication, in retrospect, for me was like it was the Twin Peaks of the 70s, or the kind of weird. It was the weird, scary show that I used to watch as a kid. It was
weird and scary. It was creepy
for a child. Yeah, there was no laugh track.
Yeah.
There was no
laugh track, rather, right?
And it was very, very bizarre. There's never been anything like it. I would love love nothing more than to work with Louise Lazar.
Let's make it.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah. Let's get her. You know what we should do? She worked with Darren Aronofsky when he was
in Requiem for a Dream. Yeah,
it wasn't established. I mean, not
Todd Solondz. I think she did a small part in was it Happiness or some? Maybe it wasn't.
I don't remember, but that would be perfect right there. That would make sense. He was on. Todd Solondz was on this podcast. I've been very lucky. Well, I relook at it when oh, you know, okay, you're going to appreciate this. I'm walking through Union Square. This is last week. Friday, Thursday.
Yeah.
I'm walking through Union Square, and I pass Robert Downey Sr. on the street.
Senior?
He's senior.
Senior?
Yeah. Yeah, Putney Swope.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I pass him. I've seen him before. You know, like he did in fact, he was at BAM, and he did this Q&A. I met Robert Downey. I introduced myself. I just, you know, not like I did with DeCav, where I'm like was nervous about it, because I didn't have that kind of level of, like, you know,
freaked outness, which I
right.
certainly still could now, even at 41, with a handful of people.
Sure.
I can totally relate to
totally.
that.
I'm older than you are, and I'm reduced to when I came out of that room, and there's Sissy Spacek, and she's walking down the hall, and Duvall says, "Hello, Miss Spacek." And it's so cute, because that's probably the way it was pronounced. And then I walked up and I just said, "So nice to meet you," and I kissed her hand.
Oh.
And I just said, "You don't know. I'm going to walk away now." And I just left, and I'm like, you know, I just kissed Sissy Spacek. And I could have probably kissed her on the lips, too, but I kissed Dick Cavett. I don't make a point of doing this.
You kissed Dick Cavett?
Yes.
Like in a French way? Like
no.
Like
he said he would do a photo. His wife took a photo of me and her, and I leaned over and I kissed his temple. And it's on Facebook.
That's beautiful. Can you forward?
Yes.
That's how old is Dick Cavett?
It's just probably late 70s, but he could be younger than that. 70s. I don't know.
Yeah, that's still.
He started pretty young, but not like. But he's still got to be up there. He's.
I hope
I'm going to guess he was in. He must have been born in his 30s, in the 1930s.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess.
I hope he lives to be many, many.
Well, he's
years
100%. I can tell you that.
older. Yeah.
I mean, all around. Not only just mentally. I mean, physically,
Just
he
everything.
still seems in very good shape.
He looks really good.
He has a younger wife.
I would love to. And I'm not just saying.
I have his card.
What?
I have his card now.
Oh, really? Ah.
She said call.
Call him.
I'm going to get him on here,
Call
too.
him up.
You know, I mean, like it. So I met Robert Downey. I walked right by him, and I said, "Go back. What are you doing? Go, ask him to come on the podcast." And that's what I did. So I ran back across the street. He was walking by, you know, the north side of the park, and I just went, I said, I think I said, "Robert," and he looks at me like, you know, and I said, "Don't be alarmed." But I do this show. Do you know what a podcast is? No. Well, anyway, it's like a radio thing. I said, anyway, it's all about supporting independent film.
Yeah.
And to have you on would be like remarkable. And he's already on my list. Literally, I have a list of people I want to have on the show. And he's there. He's on it. And he said, sure. He said, we talked for a few minutes. And he said, yeah. He gave me his phone number.
He lives in New York.
Talk about somebody who lives in New York.
Perfect.
And has something new, apparently. But he's, he's also up there. But he's very, very tall and good-looking guy, and but very, just was perfectly nice. And then he turned around and he said, "Hey, did you see that documentary about Harry Dean Stanton?"
Oh, Harry Dean Stanton.
He may not have done any movies with David Lynch, but his name is Harry Dean Stanton.
Harry Dean Stanton.
They did a documentary on him last year.
There's a document.
It's very unusual because it's not like a straight doc. He was participating, but he didn't help the filmmaker along at all. And he plays a lot of songs. He sings a lot of songs on his guitar.
I've seen so many Harry Dean Stanton films.
Partly fiction, I think it's called.
So it's not like this definitive life story of him, but it's like more of a portrait, like a recent portrait or something.
Kind of, yeah. But it does go back in his. He's not very.
A little bit.
He doesn't make it easy. He's not sentimental. He just, except for when he's like singing old cowboy songs, which is what he does. And anyway,
I love.
He was at South by in 2013.
He's an actor that ages well, because even when, like, way back in the day in the 80s when he was, earlier on, when he was even in, like, that movie, I think the first Harry Dean Stanton film I'm, like, aware of that I remember seeing for the first time was a film called Euphoria with him and Cindy Williams from Laverne and Shirley.
Yeah.
Shirley.
Well, she was in the conversation, but go ahead.
Oh, yeah. And that was a good movie. And And then I saw like Pretty in Pink or something after that.
He's the dad in that.
And then I saw a bunch of other things that he had done before that and after that. But he just seemed so, he was just this actor that was in everything in the 80s, 70s. I mean,
he and Dennis Hopper were kind of like the two that were passing.
I didn't know that. I did. Well, you mean?
I mean,
you
like
mean
roles back and forth. Like they both played dads a lot, but like dads that were kind of damaged.
Sort of made both of them collectively had made this comeback in the 80s.
Right.
I remember.
Very true.
And yeah, and he aged very well because he sort of,
as did Hopper.
Yeah, they both did because they had these very
such great faces
already. These like very like experienced looks about them, and they just they aged.
And neither
very
played
well.
like harmony. I'm sorry, neither played irony. Like their roles were always kind of very essentially American, but also very much folk stories and not doing irony. Very much
straightforward, and they always played versions of people that don't even exist anymore. Especially in. Man,
and they don't. I mean, thank God Harry Dean Stanton exists, but there aren't too many like him anymore.
I know, very Americana, and you can't fake that. Like you can't just be that. You can't. I mean, they have to come from that world, to some extent, to be able to emulate it so well
and live that. Drink a lot of whiskey
and whiskey, and
you do have to.
Yeah, of course.
And smoke a lot of
cigarettes, and
he's well into his 80s, and he's. I'm sure he's not great shape, but he's still around though.
Last thing he was in was what, Inland Empire, or was there something after that?
No, he still works.
Oh, he still,
But so. I think he's in something new. Yeah, but he, he's somebody you don't want him to stop smoking or drinking because that could like actually kill him. At this point,
right.
If you're in your 80s, you probably shouldn't
just
stop.
The withdrawal from what you've been doing.
Yeah, it's too stressful.
Keep you going. Yeah, it would be the stress could do it. Yeah, for sure. But I love Harry Dean Stanton, man. I'd like to see that film.
So we jumped around quite a bit, and then
the
to go back to
the Wythe.
Right.
Yeah. I've been. So I did a one-off thing at one point a while back there, where it was just a very friendly night with experimental films that I'd strewn together and asked various experimental. Well, some of them were experimental films, but some of them were sort of straightforward narrative films. But it was all based on thematically. It was based on the experience of hypnagogia, which is that state that people can go to when they're sort of half asleep and half awake. And there were a lot of very sort of weird dream logic based movies. That it was a 3-hour program. For this, they've asked me to come back again to curate 4 days of cinema for their their first sort of really first official. They did this for one day last year, but this is the first time that they're doing something for Gay Pride as a 4-day event. That's going to be sort of this Uber event, and they're incorporating their cinema into it this year, and they've asked me to curate a myriad of short queer films, and I've reached out to a bunch of people, bunch of filmmakers and friends of friends, and I think I'm going to be showing somewhere in the realm of about 100 short films over the course of 4 days. And there's 3 feature films that I've picked that you're going to be moderating. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Are you okay with that? Still okay.
Yeah. Yes, of course.
The 3 features are Short Bus by John Cameron Mitchell and Joe Bryant AD, which is a really wonderful documentary by Kieran Turner, and another wonderful documentary called How to Survive a Plague by David France. And those are going to be the big feature, long form films.
And they were like at the end of the day.
Yeah, those are at the end of the day. And then prior to that, there's going to be for 3 of the 4 days, there's going to be a succession of shorts showing before the features, like 6 hours of shorts, I think, on each day or something crazy like that. And then on the last day, there's going to be more of an installation thing that I'm I'm kind of constructing on my own accord of just a sort of non-linear moments of films, of queer-based films that some will be just moments from an anthology of like basically stuff from my own DVD collection, and other things like other stuff that I've gotten off of the internet and things, content that people have given me. That'll just be this sort of running, kind of like a run-on sentence of just moments of history of queer film and politics and all kinds of stuff.
So are you? This is going to be like ticketed and
no, the short series, the short films, and all of that. That's all free, and I believe it's open to the public. I don't think you have to go to this event to. Don't quote me on this all the way. I mean, I'd like to think that this is
That's
open.
One good thing.
Yeah,
I should find out that way. I can talk about it maybe in the introduction to this.
Yeah, I mean, I know that the features I think will definitely be ticketed.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
But the shorts are
and how do people get tickets?
Well, I'm still building it as we speak,
Okay.
so as soon as I'm finished putting all the films together, which I think should be by tomorrow actually, and I'm also doing creating the list of films how they're going to sort of run in succession. I'm going to zap it over to them probably tomorrow night, and then they'll make an announcement probably Tuesday or Wednesday.
Right. Okay.
So
by then then I can add it to then we'll as soon as people know how to do that, then we can put the show up too.
That'd be
There's
great.
No reason not to just.
That would be great.
Yeah.
And it's been a fun transitional thing to do. While I'm writing, and I love being involved in sort of as many aspects as I can.
Well, not only that, but it's putting together something like that is, and I know you've done this as well. It's like putting together a mixtape.
A mixtape, yeah.
It's the same principle.
Basically,
it's like here's what I love, and I want to share it with all my friends.
These are the things that I love, and some things that I didn't know I would love, or things I've just sort of newly discovered. And like I was saying before, a lot of these films, some of them are old films, some of them are new films. Ultimately end up just having a life where people have to kind of find them online, and the cinema at Wythe is they have an amazing sound system, wonderful, beautiful projector and space to project these things. So it's nice to be able to show things big.
The hotel's at on Wythe Avenue in North 11th in Williamsburg.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's a wonderful hotel. It's very cool.
You just go there and you'll see there's a ramp going down to the basement, and you can there's a sign on the side there, and
Teatro.
Yeah,
it's a great space.
Yeah, I like it too.
So grateful that I've hooked up with those guys there.
We'll put the details up and let people know. But I guess I'll be doing moderating a couple of those, right?
Yeah.
Doing an intro with is it for David France?
I think is just going to be doing the intro.
Okay. And we know each other a little bit. That's nice.
Good.
Yeah.
And I think don't quote me on this yet, but I think Howard Gertler, the producer of Short Bus, is going to be doing the Q&A, I believe, and then Kieran is going to be doing the Q&A for his film. I think John Cameron Mitchell would have done it, but he's going to be in Canada during that time. Actually, I'm going to be in Canada with him for a couple of days at a gay film festival out there, which is kind of an arm to the Toronto Film Festival.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Showing Tarnation, 10-year anniversary.
What days are you in Toronto?
I'm going to be there the 20. I believe it's the 22nd or the 23rd until the 25th.
Oh, I think we might just miss each other because I'm there. I'm going there.
You are
that weekend too. Yeah.
To the Toronto Film Festival, or
No. I have friends there, and Jacob and I I'm taking him that Thursday, which is the 19th. We're going to go up to the Finger Lakes, where I have friends in Ithaca, New York, and we're going to spend the night. Then, if the weather and everything holds together, we're going to go to the Niagara. I'll just show them the Niagara Falls.
I've never been. I'd love to.
Oh yeah. Well, we're doing it as a road trip.
The Canada side. You're going to the Canada. Yeah.
Probably the Canada side, because I have been to the falls, but I was on the American side, even though I heard the Canadian side was really neat. But this time, then we are going to Toronto, so we're going to drive through
How long is the journey from
25, whatever they're
Niagara Falls to Toronto?
It's not long. It's under 2 hours.
Oh,
it's very short. It's it's a real easy trip.
How far is I don't remember, like, flying wise, how long it takes to get to Toronto.
Oh, it's very quick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's super fast. I mean, I don't think you ever get to a high altitude. Even they have to kind of land real quick. It's a very, very fast trip.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
like Montreal,
maybe an hour, like, just because of the.
Oh, okay.
Including, like, I think it's like, I could be wrong, but I think it's like a 45-minute.
Oh, like almost like
literally up
Montreal?
near, and then before you know, they're saying we're landing.
Oh yeah,
it's a super fast trip, but
it'll be fun.
Yeah.
I love Canada.
Yeah.
I was going to Montreal quite a bit when I was working on a short film that I made with some people there.
Mm-hmm.
I loved going to Montreal. It's an interesting.
I haven't
city.
been there for a long time, but I usually go to Toronto. So we'll be spending a few days in Toronto because my friend is this kid too.
Great.
They've never met. And then I'm planning on coming back, although he's out of school, so we should definitely talk because I mean maybe it might be overlap there. But I'll be in Toronto for a few days then.
Yeah, I wonder.
So I'll let you know.
Will you be? So you won't be there. You won't be there the 24th.
No, I don't think that long.
Okay.
The main reason I wouldn't be is my friend works and the kid's still in school. We would just kind of be, we wouldn't have enough to do. It's not like I know. I know a few people, so I'm looking forward to it. But I don't know that we'll be there that long. But it would be nice to, and be
really nice.
But we'll be seeing each other a couple of days later, obviously. So
yeah, absolutely.
Here,
absolutely. Yes, here in New York, and
all right.
Overwhelmed at the thought of still building this program for because I'm doing everything myself.
Yeah,
I'm building the sequences, outputting these 6-hour files.
That's crazy.
Trying to make sure everything looks good and creating the document to make sure all the right information is in that correlates to each film, with creating a synopsis for each. It's a lot of work. I'm going to let you get back to it. It's a DIY cray adventure, that's for sure.
I've set it up myself for so many. I've overextended myself.
I say yes to so many things.
Yeah, that's my problem too. like literally, I already was trying to figure out how am I going to get all my shows ready, and I have to watch a lot of movies, and it's hard because I'm parenting full time, which I love, but I don't have the time to sit down and watch movies like I need to, because I also need to. Then somebody, like this publicist says, we're doing the Human Rights Watch Film Festival. Would you be interested in? And it's starting I have to put up all the shows, and we have to produce an extra episode, which is just it's just much. And then I have to this group. So this filmmaker, she's coming over tomorrow, and I have to watch the movie overnight, of course. Which is fine, but
and you're emailing
crazy.
Yeah, no, I know. It's always.
And then I have to edit that interview, and then I have to. And I just did the one with this guy. He has a movie. It's fantastic, called Darius Monroe, and he has a film called The Evolution of a Criminal, and it's at BAM Cinema Fest. I have to finish editing I had all the programmers on for BAM, and then I have at Darius, and I have to put that show together for next week. But then I'm probably going to have to do a second show now, which I liked having all these episodes, and I know people are listening, but it's so much work. But we're going to we'll do this.
We're going to reconvene. I'll see you on the 16th, and then I'll see you at the Wythe after that.
All right, man.
Yeah, thank you so. Oh, and incidentally, I can say that if we do this again, I can talk about it later. I'm a little weirded out to say this, but I'm officially trolling myself out as an actor.
Oh, very good.
Which I haven't done in my latter adult life, but I'm doing it again, and I'm letting the world know.
Okay. Well, I saw you in Summer Blood, and you killed.
Did I kill
10
it
seconds?
for those 10 seconds?
Yeah.
As pedestrian one.
I know. I said I don't know. I couldn't. I was in his first movie. I couldn't even get a pedestrian gig in that one, but I don't. I have to just be.
I forgot how I just forgot how gratifying it is, and what a nice kind of diversion it is when you're not working on your own film. It's just I think it's important and good for especially independent people, as directors, to try to be on as many sides of the spectrum as you can be, if you're comfortable doing that, because I think it's just always a good idea.
Well, don't consider it trolling. Don't put it in that.
Oh, did I?
I don't. I mean, I think. Well, I mean, I understand. It's like yeah.
Oh, I'm being
self-effacing on some level, but I understand that. But
being ironic.
it is true. You should, right? You should. It's great, and
something
people
I've done like sort of professionally
right.
in a while as a 41-year-old.
You were in all those John Hughes movies.
I was in all those John Hughes films in my head when I was
with Molly Ringwald. I think you were like dating, and I forget which one it was, but right. And John Candy played your dad in one. I think.
Exactly. Yeah,
those were great.
Yeah, those were all good films. I'm happy to have been in every single.
Catherine O'Hara was your mom.
Yep, worked with Catherine O'Hara many times. I love her. I would love to meet her one day.
I know
her and Andrea Martin are just.
I met her though.
The best. Is she nice?
I also met her, and she's super nice. And in fact, I saw her at a party and introduced myself to her. It was like after the opening of Breaking Upwards. This little. She had a character role in that, and then she played like somebody's mother, and then literally, like I ran to tell my friend up in Toronto, I just met
Andrea Martin.
Yeah, and then later that week, another filmmaker invited me to attend the premiere night of his screening
of the film,
of his movie. It was the same week or something, and it was at the 2nd Avenue and 10th Street, 12th Street, the 2nd Avenue. What is it called? This Cinema Village East or something. That theater.
Yeah.
And I went there, and the movie ends, and I'm walking out of the theater, and Andrea Martin's walking in, and I just said, and she said, "Yeah, I remember you meeting you the other night." And I said, "This is fate, isn't it?" Like so, picture. I'm a picture horse. I can't help it. When I meet somebody who I love, so we did a picture together, and I was able to send it to my friend in Toronto. I'm like, look what happened! I met her again.
It's amazing.
And now I have this lovely picture of her. She couldn't be warmer.
Oh,
but she's Canadian.
Yeah.
All right. Look,
they're all sweet and decent by default. Okay,
it's true.
What time is it? I know
you got to
run like the wind. But
all right. Well, thank you, and we will. And
Adam, thank you so much. And I hope is your son okay?
Yeah, he's been fine. He's used to this, unfortunately.
Okay,
dragging him around now. I have to show him a good evening.
He has to be a filmmaker after all this at some point.
Yeah,
hopefully.
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know if I wish it for him, but
yeah.
All right, Jonathan Caouette,
pediatrician.
You're the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adam. You're the best. Enjoy your drive.
Thank
today.
you. Thanks.